All right, it's Ron Goodall from FightHype.com. I'm here with my boy Lonnie B. What's going on?
Yes, I'm chilling. You know, staying in shape, staying ready.
Obviously, fight fans will love to see you come back after having that great performance. On that tank undercard with Usateki and things like that. Everything's been good with you.
I'm just living. I'm making it day by day. Just trying to get out this little depression mode. Like you said, I had a great performance, and they just put me on the shelf for whatever reason. I don't know why. I just want to fight and be treated fair. That's it. I'm ready to fight whoever. Any super middleweight. You got Pachenko, you got Edgar Berlanga, you got David Benavidez, you got John Ryder. Any 68. I just believe in my heart I am the best 68 on the planet, and nobody can fuck with me.
Now, you did bring up the name David, and I do have to ask because you have sparred David Benavidez and you have sparred Caleb Plant.
Yes.
One of the many few that. How do you think that fight breaks down because you've been in the ring with both of them?
Man, it's a great matchup. Two fantastic fighters. I'm leaning more towards Caleb because I think David's kind of underestimating him because David keeps saying, oh, he only got 11, 12 knockouts out of 20-something fights. But if you look at David, you can't, that don't determine if a guy can punch or not. You know what I'm saying? Most guys fights, it's like when a guy loses early in his career and then he ended up being world champion. They beat guys and they think, oh, well, he lost to this guy. Yeah, but that was a decade ago. He's a whole different fighter now. I think Caleb is a whole different fighter now. I think being in there with Canelo, being in there with the tougher competition, I think he's a different fighter now. I think David needs to work on his defense, not get hit so much in this fight, because in his previous fights, David's been hit a lot because he's fighting blown up 54 and 60 pounders, so he can get away with it. But Caleb got a little pop. I don't care how many knockouts he got.
Especially from that last knockout.
You know what I'm saying? He got a little pop, so I think David needs to be careful and take Caleb a lot more serious and look at it as he a big puncher. You know what I'm saying? Because I think if David don't, I think we might see David on the canvas. You know what I'm saying? Caleb is slick. He's slick. He's a lot harder to hit than it looks. You know what I mean? David is more gruesome, guerrilla type. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to break you. So I think it's a good fight. It's like if I could compare it to a fight like Pernell Whitaker-Chavez.
Okay.
I can compare it like that. You know what I'm saying? I think it's the slick boxer. It's a slick boxer with some decent pop against the gruesome Mexican monster. You know what I'm saying? So, but I'm leaning more towards Caleb. I think Caleb is slick. I think, and sometimes David gets one-dimensional. He does the same thing over and over again. You know what I mean? Like I said, because the level of competition he fights, he can get away with it. I think if they don't make no adjustments and he's been looking the same way that he's been looking in his fights, I think Caleb's going to win. But if they correct the adjustments, I can see it 50-50 for me.
And I'll just play devil's advocate since you're picking Plant. David's going to come with that relentless hard pressure. I mean, even though that Plant's very slick, and you've been in the ring with Usateki, and he brought that type of pressure. It seemed like Plant did really well in the beginning and kind of slowly faded off. Do you think that, in this fight, conditioning is going to be really important? Because David's definitely going to continue, maybe worse. I don't know. What do you think? Because you fought Usateki, and you've sparred David, so I guess you really can actually break this down at it.
Yeah, okay. That's my thing. That's right. Like David, like I said, once I bring up again the level of opposition he's fighting. That's why he's able to do that against those smaller guys, because they not able to hurt him when he has nothing to worry about. So he can just keep coming and coming and coming and coming and coming and coming and coming. You got to ask yourself, what happens when he gets hit by somebody who can punch, by somebody who got decent pop, and by somebody who can stand their ground a little bit? You got to see, will he still keep coming forward like that? That's what we waiting to see. So like that's the catcher for me. Like when Caleb catch him clean, is he gonna be like, oh, I can still walk? Oh, I can still walk. Cause I sparred with Caleb. Caleb got some pop. He's not a pillow puncher like everybody try to make it seem like he ain't got no power. Nah, he got some decent pop.
What would you rate, let's say, what would you rate out of 10, David's power and Caleb's power when you sparred? Obviously, it's different now.
Yeah, when I sparred, Caleb punched harder.
Oh, Caleb punched harder than David?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, and I sparred with David, he was 230 at the time.
Wow.
230 at the time. He's fast, but I wasn't that's decent, but it was nothing that I was if you be in good shape, you can get him. But with Caleb, I'm like, yo, keep your hands up. he could pop a little bit, like kind of shock me, like, oh, keep my hands up.
So why does it seem like when David gets these like monstrous like KOs and Plant kind of slick moves, gets his way? Obviously the Durrell knockout was like possibly KO of the year. He won awards for him. But why is it that like consistently one person's able to have that KO kind of the other one kind of is like more slick and maybe more decision like?
Well, you got styles make fights, and you got to realize too, David is a cruiserweight that fights at 68. So if you look at the shots he hitting guys with, right? If you look at Caleb fight with Durrell, he flatlined Durrell. Like if you saw when David fought him, David stopped him, and David was hitting him with the kitchen sink. You would think a guy being that big, it would be reversed. You would think David would sleep Durrell like that, and Caleb would just box him and get the stoppage. But it was the other way around. Caleb slept him, and David just stopped him. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if you look at the guy, Tyrone Davis, a lot of these guys, David fighting, he be hitting these guys with clean shots.
And that was kind of like a back and forth fight for a little bit.
That's right. And he be hitting these guys with clean shots and don't even be wiping them out. He just stopped guys with his size. He overwhelmed them with his size, and it's easy to do that when you're fighting a guy that's 3 weight classes smaller than you. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But I think Caleb's learning to sit down more. You've seen that. He's learning like not to move so much, use upper body movement. And when he punch, sitting down. And I think if he catch David, I think he's gonna surprise David. I think David gonna be like, whoa, he punch a lot harder. And what we waiting to see is David being hurt, because we seen David down before. Yeah. He got dropped by Ronald Graville, who's a 60-pounder, who's decent fighter, not great, decent fighter. You know what I'm saying? We seen him down before. You know what I'm saying? And the second fight, he was hitting Ronald with the kitchen sink and didn't even get a knockout or a stoppage. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? So like I said, like the way they managing David is making him look like he's a monster. But do I think he's a monster? No. Do I think he's a good fighter? Yes, I think he's a good fighter. But I want to see him in there with. It's time to get down to the get down now. I want to see if he really can get down.
And of course, obviously, the winner of this, obviously presumably will want to, fight for Undisputed or Canelo, things like that. And obviously, you're set the way. And just quick plug. Is there certain guys that you want to go after, like you said, a Pacheco or like a?
Honestly, I'll take any fight at 68. But if I had to target, it would be the big guys. It would be because if I beat Pacheco, they're gonna say, oh, well, he was still green. He was a prospect still. So they're gonna be like, I'm looking for the Canelos, the John Ryders, the.
But you think those things can happen because of the?
Absolutely. Because I got the record. I beat a world champion. I got a world champion on my resume already, and before that, I've beaten contenders in the weight class I'm too small for. So I got the resume. All I need is a warm-up fight, then somebody in the top, another person in the top 10 or 5 in super middleweight, and I should be right there to get the fight with David, anybody, any super middleweight. You know what I'm saying?
Would a Steven Nelson or Edgar Berlanga fight?
Anybody. I don't, like me, man, I just believe in my heart I'm the best super middleweight. You know what I'm saying? Like, my last fight was just a taste of it. It was just a taste. I got a lot more left. And all the layoffs in my career, like, helped me. Like, you would think if they were smart, they would say, yo, let's run this horse into the ground. But sitting me on the bench, you preserving me. It's like you put food in the freezer to preserve it. Mm-hmm. If you want it to spoil, keep it in the refrigerator. You get what I'm saying? So I just don't get they logic, but anybody in the top, but I'm looking for David, the winner or loser of this fight between him and Caleb, John Ryder, who else? Berlanga, anybody. I don't any super middleweight. It really don't matter to me. I just know I can beat those guys. I know I can.
Before I let you go, social media and where they can find you at?
Lonnie B the Champ on Instagram, Lonnie B Lionel Thompson on Facebook, and Lonnie B 168 on Snapchat. Follow me, support me, get me back in that ring so I can get some great, memorable fights.
Awesome, appreciate it.
Thank you, man.